Hello, everyone. My name is Michael Gibson. I hope you're doing well today. I am the creator of Norm Therapy, but I'm also the CEO of Norm Therapy Incorporated as a for-profit company. We also have a nonprofit, it's a 501c3, registered IRS determined public charity, Abuse Refuge Inc., which is affectionately known, of course, as Go Arrow, GOARO.org. Please visit us at normtherapy.com or goarrow.org, and you'll find out more about what we do, how we help people around the world, as well as train them to become norm therapists. But we also do something else. During training, we oftentimes select individuals who are, of course, seasoned, professionals, educated. You name the genre of life, we actually choose those people to become norm therapists. But we also look for people who have a past, people who have experienced abuse, who understand abuse, or have been there peripherally, watching abuse unfold in someone else or in some area of their existence. So they come into the course with a whole different perspective of what abuse is and how to combat it and what it's all about. So we've been very fortunate to have these kinds of people. We have medical doctors, we have psychotherapists, we have psychiatrists, psychologists, you name it, all walks of life, business, entrepreneurs, attorneys, all trained norm therapists. They say that we're the missing link. Hopefully it catches on around the world, which we're planning to pump a great deal of money and resources into advertising and getting us out there and making this something useful to everyone. I mean, it really is something. Today, we're going to have Bobbi as well as Montez, but Montez fell ill. And when he fell ill, I think it's from something he ate. And I'll let Bobbi get into that later. But he's going to be unavailable tonight. Who knows? We may get on the camera. He's sitting right next to her crying, I'm not doing well. Help me. Who knows? But whatever the case may be, we're going to talk with Bobbi tonight. And I think it's apropos. I think it's very appropriate that we do. Because Bobbi was the subject of Montez and I last conversation. We had a wonderful conversation about Bobbi and some things. I saw his eyebrows go up and his eyes open up a few times during that conversation. And I think that some real points about Bobbi's value in his life, as well as his value in hers, were kind of defined and articulated in a way that I don't think he really had a great deal of experience in a life with. And that's okay. That's the whole idea behind norm therapy, is to be able to find a different route to get things done and try to understand people and why they do things. People always like to quickly assess and blame without any introspection in themselves or any type of investigation of the other person. They go on their emotional feeling, their gut, so to speak, sometimes, and oftentimes they're very wrong. Now, there are times when you need to use your gut. That thing called intuition is real. But the majority of time when you're dealing with people, you should use, of course, your brain. That brain housing group is that tool that you use to guide everything. But your emotions, especially your heart, is designed to kind of feel it. Maybe not know it, but feel it. But your brain is designed to know it. So when you pause and you think before you speak back or you argue or you talk to someone in a negative way, you always have an option. Think your way through it. And perhaps that outcome is going to be much greater and more beneficial than if you did not. Reacting is a very poor excuse for anyone to treat anyone poorly, but responding is always the reason why you treat them well. So with that, that's where we are so far in our relationship with Bobbi and Montez, is articulating a way to just interact and be not cordial, but be normal to one another of what their new normal happens to be, which is in the spirit of progress forward. Anyway, I'm going to ask Bobbi to come in now. Hey, Bobbi,
Sure.
how are you? Everything
I'm
okay?
okay.
Good,
Yeah,
good. I'm glad.
everything's okay for me anyway.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. This is wonderful. I have been so busy these past few days, and I couldn't wait for this meeting because one of my um, first questions will be very interesting. But before we go there, how are you? Tell us all.
I I took your advice. I don't know if a lot of people know, but when I left that, I believe it was on Tuesday.
Mhm.
I believe I left on Tuesday and I went to the Walmart parking lot and I called you. Um, because there's sometimes when I don't know what to do. I don't want to make a major decision and I don't want to make not any decision. And sometimes that's okay. It's just to be for a minute.
Mhm.
And so no, I didn't really want to leave. And and so rather than go into a big argument when he was texting me, I texted him and said, "Hey, I didn't want to leave, but these are the things that I'm not willing to accept in our marriage. And I would rather be by myself. There's been a lot of hindrance. There's been a lot of manipulation with my heart because he is one of my proximity predators. He is. I'm just that's he's a proximity predator for me, as well as my daughters. I mean, I could go on a list, but right now it's about my husband and I and how well we get along and how well we communicate. And he's not used to someone just saying, "Hey, I need to talk," and this is the subject matter that we need to discuss. He completely blows it out of proportion. He blows it up and it gets really big. And so, me, where I come from, and I tell him this all the time, if I feel that there is a threat that's going to get beyond me being able to de escalate it, and I've taken classes on it with him, I will call for intervention. And if I can't get a hold of you for intervention, I will call the police for intervention. Whatever that looks like, whatever that ends up like. I've never told them to take him to jail. I've never lied on him and said that he's hit me. I've never lied, never. It's always this needs to be de escalated and we either need to separate or, you know,
I understand.
whatever the case may be, whatever happens, at that point of me where I have to make a phone call or one of my children have to make a phone call, then it's to a point where they're in fear or I'm in fear because it hasn't always been me that made the phone call.
I understand. You know,
So,
that's your prerogative and that's their prerogative. Everybody in the household uh, mature enough to know when the police should be called or not, based on past experience, present experiences, or even future conversations. Everybody has an idea of when intervention is necessary. I think that's a safety measure and protocol that's well founded. However, what we should do and what we have been doing with Montes, especially, is figuring out, and you, because you are his trigger, you're to him, you are a proximity predator. So, from his perspective, and maybe some of the things that people around him are doing are his proximity predators. Everybody has proximity predators
yeah,
to an extent, because once you get your proximity predators under control, and I don't mean your control, I mean of their own self-control. Once they're under control, then that eliminates you having to find yourself in an escalating situation. They will never escalate once they're under control of themselves and their own faculties. Because there's nothing you can say or do. If, let's say, he was a narcissist or a bully or some type of extreme narcissist or malignant narcissist, there's nothing anybody can do to stop it except for him. And if you were the same, let's say you were a narcissist and there's nothing he can do to stop you from talking. He could say, baby, please stop. It won't matter. If you don't feel like stop talking, you won't. So once the individual has the ability to de-escalate and to notice that and acknowledge that they're in a state where they're hurting someone, and they'll start to use some of the techniques we've been discussing since the beginning of controlling themselves. Once they get there, Bobbi, I think that that is something good. You went there the other night. I mean, we weren't on camera when you did it, but it was not in the park lot, but a couple of weeks ago, when you and he were going at it, and we were over the phone talking, and he would say something, and I wanted to hear what he said, and then you would jump in and say something and antagonize him. You could just say one word, police. You could say another word, no, or anything like that, and then everything ended. I mean, he lost his cool and blew up and stuff like that. So sometimes we're triggers in a life. You're not being blamed for anything, by the way, and nor is he. If you've never communicated in the manner that we're trying to construct between us, how are you going to know how to do it? Unless you make some mistakes, unless you continue being yourself and see just how drastically your circumstance changes once you are yourself, your old self. And the new Bobbi says, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to stop and think. I'm going to hold my tongue. I don't think it's necessary for me to talk down to him. That kind of thing. And then an old Bobbi jumps in and go, but don't hell with you, I'm calling the police. Then there's a problem. So it's always new Bobbi versus old Bobbi when you're trying to escalate or de-escalate. It's always new Bobbi against old Bobbi. It's never really against the other person or the proximity predator, because they're in a zone. There's nothing you can do to stop them. So it doesn't matter. You stop you. Once you stop you from being a trigger, not that it's your fault, but it's just a form of de-escalation. And then once you do that, they'll have no other choice but to change. They'll have no other choice but to adjust to your de-escalation. Why? Because they don't have anybody to argue with anymore. They don't have anybody to, that'll say, oh, you go to hell. Oh, I don't like you. Or whatever. They don't have that. And they need that. Most people, not just Montez, not just you or me, but most people on the planet need that fuel to keep going in an argument. They need that. They need to be prodded and pushed along in order to stay in the moment of that nastiness. Don't you think?
Yeah, I do. It's just the things that he says, he takes what he has heard now that I've said that I've never told anybody about, that I've now told you and whoever else is listening. But when I'm in session, it's just right here. I don't care who's watching. I don't care who's listening. I don't care about any of that. But he goes back and uses the things that I've said to hurt me more, which makes me not
it
trust
makes you
him on a whole nother
intimidated
level.
by the process. You become intimidated by the process because you can't really be you. We talked about that briefly, I think, in our last session, if you listened to it. And one of the things he said to me is that somehow or another, sometimes she thinks she's better than me. Did you hear that part?
Uh-uh.
Do you remember what I told her? Okay, good.
I don't think I was listening. I mean, typically when he has his sessions, if I'll jump on every once in a while if I don't have anything else to do, but typically I got other stuff that I got to do when he's on his regular sessions.
Got it.
But if I have time, I'll get on there and watch, which may be 1 out of every 10.
Okay.
Like I don't get on there a lot.
For your own edification, the statement was that, sometimes she thinks she's better than me. And he said, what do you think about that? And I said, she's supposed to be better than you. What she's supposed to be doing. Even your dog barked at it. She's supposed to be better than you, especially now when you guys are both learning.
Stop it. Here, come here. Come here. Right here, by me. Mom. He's protecting me, so it's okay. Sit down. Sit down.
And I said, she's supposed to be better than you. And that's what you want, brother. That's exactly what you want. I told him. And I said, and then what will that make you do if she becomes better than you? It's going to make you rise to the occasion, become better than she is. And he went, yeah. And then I said, and then she's going to try and be better than you. And then you're going to try and be better than her. And it's not a competition, it's a building of an environment where you're constantly bettering yourselves as a related couple.
When I go to school, I have a conversation with him before I took on those responsibilities for those 4 months that
Mhm,
I knew I would be very busy. I had a conversation with my husband.
mhm.
It's not me better than you. It's for me to better myself for us. And then, like I told him, if you want to go to school, I'll support the whole household. I don't mind doing it because that means at the end of your journey of whatever it is that you want to be, you're going to be your turn. Now it's going to be my turn. And
Yeah.
we'll take turns. And I've signed, I've the same CHW program that he just doesn't want to go the track that I'm going, and that's fine. Will you want to clean cars for the rest of your life? Clean cars for the rest of your life. But be a boss and have people working for you, and you don't have to work as hard. You work smarter. Get your own business. Do it the right way. Go for business administration. Then you can do anything you want. I have a
Well,
vocational diploma in business administration.
I
I
understand.
went to school for 18 months.
Mhm.
What do you want me to do to help you be what you want to be?
Exactly. Well, funny you should say it this way. I think that we need to give him a break on one thing, just a break, and that's on his work ethic for just a moment. Even though sometimes he makes his money and he quits his job and he goes to something else, all those are not about the work ethic I want to discuss. The one thing I know about leading, which I do think he has the absolute potential to do, the one thing I know about it is that in order to be a great leader, you must first have been a great follower. Montez doesn't follow well. He doesn't. So he has to learn how to follow because he's in his heart, he's had to lead himself through his life, his whole life. His brain housing group sees that. His heart understands that. But he's been in so many tumultuously difficult situations in his life. Chances are it's because he has not yet learned how to follow. The greatest leader in the world spent most of their time prior to becoming a great leader, sometimes following, because you have to learn how to follow before you can lead. So once you're leading, you know how to keep people following you. That's what you want. You want them to follow you, and you lead by example, or you lead by education, you lead by technicality, you lead by so many different things. But the truest leader, that innate leader, has been a great follower somewhere, a great follower of reading and understanding and experiencing something before they step out front. So what we have to do, I think, with Montes is whether he's on the same track with you or not. I think the way Montes works is he gets one car and he gets it right. Then he gets another car and he gets it right. Then he say, okay, I can get two cars if I get this guy to help me and I pay him a small stipend or a small little wage. Then he'll do that. Because he's making his example and he's following his example. And then he's reading up on other leaders that have done the same thing, started off with two cars, now they detail, cars for thousands of dollars to celebrities or important people every month. And they built businesses around that one car at a time mentality. I really think that that's the way for him to go. Because if you inundate him or anyone, doesn't have to be one this, with a whole bunch of business ideas and rules and theories and practices, and all of these business practices come together at once for a person who's never really experienced those echelons of business, it's going to be overwhelming and it's going to become an intimidating process. And that's to anybody. You can have a Harvard degree. Some of the dumbest people in the world have college degrees and masters and PhDs. They can do all of their own work, but they just can't do any commonsensical work. Oftentimes, people are so smart, they can't even do regular things because their intellect prohibits them from interpreting them. So you have to have experience, and that's why experiential knowledge is important. So let's look at Montes I think he's a work in progress, a good work in progress, because what he's doing, he's saying to the world, I don't know, but I'm going to find out. Now he's on his path of following. He's going to follow the information. He's going to follow the rules. He's going to follow his own ethic. He's going to build that one car at a time thing. He'll need a lot of support for that if detailing is it. And then once he's ready and he can figure out somebody who he's trained, that's worked with him and out there every day, and then he's going to put somebody else in there with them, then all of a sudden he's understanding payroll. Maybe he's not reporting it like everybody else, but he should. Incorporate him in a small company, make payroll, pay the guy, be correct, do all, because there's a lot of things that go along with having a company, like administration, filing of taxes, filings, government filings, business licenses, you name it. All of those kind of things go into establishing a small company. And once he's there, then, you know, and I would be more than happy to walk him through it backwards, if you like. Once he's set up correctly, then he can do more things. So if you just said you're not worried about if it's his path or not, and you shouldn't be. I think whatever path he takes, so long as it's healthy and something productive, you should support him. I think that's the thing. And I like that I heard you say that. I'm okay with that. Are you okay with that, Bobbi?
Yeah.
He take it good. Good. If you need help in any kind of way whatsoever, just send me a message or something, and I'll say, well, you know, chances are I will let him do this first or that first, and get it in his blood. Once a person, it's like when you do public speaking. You get out front in front of people, and then what happens? You go, and then all of a sudden, second and third or fourth time, it's like, and then the fifth time, it's like, okay, everybody, I'm here today. Good to see you. Find yourself in that medium, in that place. You find yourself, and it becomes easier to deal with your nervousness, with your intimidation of the process, and with the outcomes, the potential outcomes of your actions. It's much easier to deal with once you have a little practice. So what's on your heart this week?
The only thing really on my heart this week is, you know, I'm getting ready to get this housing choice voucher, and I hate moving. I hate moving. And it's, you know, anywhere when they transferred, it was anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks. It's going on the 8th week. And the guy said he has my paperwork, but that he needs to inspect an empty house. And I said, well, we already have a house, you know, when our name came up on the list. So, you know, how does that work? So in my mind, it's going crazy thinking about, am I going to have to find a 3-bedroom house somewhere? Or am I going to have to, well, I mean, what is, I don't even know what that looks like.
What's the process? Yeah, that's got to be overwhelming. The three most difficult things in the world to do is a new job, a new home, and a relationship. Those 3 things are the most difficult and most stressful things to do in life. Anybody want their stress meter to go up? Those are it. And you are dealing with the workplace and finding a new career right now. And that's been a while that you've been studying your practicum and all of that and getting good at that. And then you have some setbacks in that. Then the prospect of moving the past, I guess you just said 2 to 6 weeks. Now we're on the 8th week. And then, of course, you're in your relationship. So you've been overwhelmed for quite a while. Yeah. How are you feeling? How are you feeling?
I just, every day, like, I pray up. I, you know, read my meditation books, and I just deal with stuff as it comes. I don't try to plan too far ahead because that makes me worry. I don't look too far behind myself because then I deal with a lot of regrets, a lot of shame. So I just try to stay in the day and stay positive and deal with whatever comes my way.
That's good. That's very good. When you say deal with, what are your normal, I know for you, it could be anything in a day, but your sons, I want to know, how are they doing? Your twins.
So I had to move them down, my daughter Whitney and her husband and my granddaughter, came to stay with us until they can find them a place, which is very expensive in Columbus. 1-bedroom, I think, is like $11.75 or something. I don't know what it was. But, I asked her today, I said, hey, have you been looking? Because I am, as a case manager, have all the landlords that do like second chance, if you have evictions, felons, whatever the case may be. And she was like, no, we're just kind of waiting until her husband, which I told you he's going to go do some time. But why are you waiting? I'm, this, I have my two kids coming from California the 1st of June, and they're not going to sleep on the couch. Like, they're going to be in that bed. They're going to be
I
in a
thought
bunk
you and
bed.
Montes gave them a time frame, and it was rigid when they moved.
Well, so in the beginning, like I said, I didn't think it was a good idea because we had just, had all that stuff happen with Jasmine, and then they brought a dog and a cat, and now it just keeps getting out of control. He had went and gotten them a rental car, which he did not run that by me because they have a bad history of burning out rental cars and just keeping them over time. And, his license, he just got his license. So now his license is at stake. He knew why he didn't run that past me. And I don't feel it was fair. I don't think that's a call that you
Your daughter's husband didn't run it past you, or
know.
Montes.
My husband went and rented a car for them. I don't think it was a good idea. There's a reason that he kept it from me because I would have said no. And I would have said why. And I would have said it in front of my daughter and her husband. Like, you guys have burnt up rental cars. You can't get one in your name from no enterprise, no wherever rental cars come from. I don't deal with them, but you can't get one anywhere because you've ruined it. Now you have him signing his name with his credit card. I would have said absolutely not. Not when you have a car that you can drive right out on front of the house.
Right.
They have a car.
But what's the status of the rental now? Is it
It's
in
due
good
back
status?
tomorrow at 1 o'clock.
And what do you think? Do you think that'll happen?
Well, it's going to happen because I'll take the keys and it will go back.
That should or should not be your place, Bobbi. Tell me.
It should not be my place,
That's right.
but to protect my husband, I would make it my place.
No, I understand that. But in not even a perfect world, but a semi-normal world, that should not be you. It should be the responsibility of your daughter and husband. They should have that responsible.
Right, but it's in Montez's name.
If you want someone to do something for you, at least abide by the rules, or that's being used for a person not to take the responsibility of their own rent a car, or having another car available, even if it's a jalopy, I think it is. But it's for this transportation, not for styling or anything else. I think that that's a problem. And now you say he's about to do some time. Do time. Okay, I'm missing something.
In prison. My daughter's husband is going to go do some time in prison.
How much time?
At least 4 years.
So your daughter's planning on not moving out for 4 years.
Oh no.
I'm just wondering. I'm not.
She's not even. She doesn't even want to go seeking. Now, mind you, they've both had their income tax. They've had time to get a place, find something affordable, but they haven't been looking. They haven't been looking. And so I'm that one that will ask the hard questions. Why haven't you been looking?
Do you have a plan for that?
Huh?
Do you have a plan for?
Well, I can create one real fast.
Okay. I think for your own sanity, just me, just listening to the conversation, because I'm not there, and I would never tell a parent not to do something with their child or their, of course, their son or daughter. But I think it's incumbent upon you. I think it's your responsibility to be okay for you. You need to set up in your head and in your household with your husband the idea that we can only do so much until we start to deplete ourselves or hurt ourselves. See, people pleasing is different from being kind. Being kind is a good thing. Oh, I let them come stay with me. It was a wonderful thing. They got back on their feet and they moved on, and they probably wouldn't have made it without me. So I'm glad I did it. That's being kind. People
Don't
pleasing,
mind being there.
I'm letting them stay with me, and it's hurting my relationship with my husband. It's hurting the prospects of my children coming to town. It's a terrible situation because he's going to jail, and we'll have to shoulder that burden as well. They're not even looking. They get their money, and they don't even try to find an apartment or anything else, and on and on and on. And then you're the one constantly, putting the olive branch out, or Montes is renting cars for them, and then that kind of people pleasing or any type of pleasing of anyone that actually hurts you, and it's a consistent kind of hurt, not just oh, I did made the wrong mistake by helping them and it hurt me. Not that acute hurt, but that chronic hurt, that it hurts me here in my pocket. It hurts me in my home. It hurts me in bringing people in from out of it hurts me in my own physical health. You ever see anybody that's so tired and they're trying to people please someone so much that they forget about themselves and almost have a heart attack or have anxiety the next day, can't get out of bed? That's people pleasing. And I tell you, it's one of the most terrible and devastating things you can do to yourself because you don't really know that you're doing it. You are just
I
a
know because it sometimes it like, that played into the part when I was leaving and I was just grabbed a little bit of stuff, couple bags. Uh I've started over so many times that I can't even count,
I understand.
where I've just started with a bag of clothes. And that played a part in me just wanting to go, like just get away.
Yeah,
That those were factors. It wasn't just my husband. It was a whole lot of other factors factoring into, like, I'm out of here, man. I
exactly.
will start over somewhere new
And
by myself.
no matter what, this is your family, your
Yeah.
daughter, husband, and he's supporting them in a way that's, I think, detrimental to your relationship. And I think that your relationship should have top priority. And I think that he knows that now. I do. I think he knows it, but I'm not sure what he's going to do about it. But if you have a plan that you have already told him, I would make sure he's aware of what you're going to do next. And it's got to be something. And whatever income tax, whatever kind of income that they have, a refund, I would definitely talk with them, have that clear conversation, because this is about responsibility. And in June, you're going to have your other kids there, and big decisions have to be made prior. I think I'd put that on my calendar and make that a priority for you. And because we're already in March, you have 90 days. Uh, that make that a priority between Montes and yourself first. You two have to have they call it a meeting of the minds. You know, you guys have that meeting of the minds. I think it'll be much to support one another in your actions. You were frozen. I was like, wow, she's looking
You
at
were
me
froze.
intent.
You were frozen too.
Give me 1 second. It's doing this now. It's doing it now every time. It's weird. Hmm. Bobbi, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Can you how am I? Am I frozen? The internet, it just has
No.
its own mind. Ah,
Yeah, you're frozen.
Sorry about that, Bobby. Technical difficulties on this side. Sometimes the internet just has its own mind. It's 5G 1 minute and it's 1K the next. You never know. Uh, where were we? I'm trying to get my graphics to load, but it's okay. We don't have, people know I'm Michael Gibson. They know you're Bobby, so we're going to keep going with that. So tell me, have you sat down with Montes and approached him about this conversation with your daughter? And I mean, since they've been there, not that it's a bad situation, but it's a real relevant situation that needs to be tended.
He doesn't want to discuss it. I think because he knows that he's made some wrong decisions and he wants to kind of hush it. Well, just give him a chance. Just give him a chance. Well, I know what those chances look like. I know, on the other hand, for the past 35 years at least, what those look like, you know, and
What does that look like, Bobby? Tell me.
it looks like now you're staying 6 months, now you're staying a year, you know, it's just not conducive to, like, my children are grown, they're adults, most of them, all except two that aren't in my household. And like, I'm done raising babies. I'm done. And you know, I don't think that I was ever really mommy material. I had babies out of let me prove my love to you. So, you know, I've done the best that I could do. I lead an example by what I do each day, whether they accept it or whether they don't. This is who I am. This is where I'm going. And half of my life is over, and the other half is going to be spent trying to get back to where I should have been 30 years ago.
And I'm
So,
glad you said that. I'm really am. I'm happy you just said that because that's good order in your household. But also, you back to where you should have been 30 years ago. Well, just being an honest broker, um, they missed 30 years of you. So whatever's tragic in her life doesn't necessarily mean it's your fault, but I'm sure that influence has somewhere to lay its claim or blame. So you are
and
partially responsible for where she is now. Maybe had you been there, it had turned out worse. Maybe
it
because
would
you
have
were
been
not there.
better.
Exactly, either or. What I'm saying, we don't know, but coulda, woulda, 30 years ago. Um, Sometimes we all have to take responsibility, and I think you've done that. That's why I wanted to point it out. You have had multiple relations with the same person where they came in and stayed and went. They came in and stayed and went. You've done that. You've been there for them in those voids in their lives, and I think you're doing your best to make up for your missed time in their lives. Just putting it all on the table. No one likes to be assigned a blame for anything, especially somebody else's life. And I'm not doing that. That's not what I'm saying that you're to blame. But that absence definitely influenced the outcome of her life. And that's
Oh,
probably why
absolutely
they're
agree.
dependent on you now to the point of almost abuse because they feel that maybe you owe them because you weren't there. And they don't feel that consciously. They're not consciously saying, she owes me and I'm her child, so I don't care. I don't think that's it. I don't, unless they're Machiavellian people. I don't know them. But I don't think that's it. I think it's just that she's been missing that person that she can lean on her whole life and say, Mom, I'm failing every time with this guy or in this relationship or in my life or in this workplace or in this. I'm failing every time and I need your help. I think that's what's happening, but it gets to a point where it becomes a revolving door. And you don't want that. Not only do you not want it, it's not healthy for you. for people to come and go in your life, disrupted, turn you and your husband upside down, trying to do the right thing. And yet they leave or they stay there, and none of the covenants that you set up with them are actually occurring. They haven't found a home. They're not sure what to do because of the prison time that's coming. They're on and on and on. There's so many things that are wrong, but you don't want to kick them out on the street either with nowhere to go. So that's a problem too. So that's something I think you really need to grapple with. If you and Montes need help with that, I would love to have a conversation with you both on it. But other than that, I don't think you're doing the wrong things. I think you're putting everything in place now the right way, or however difficult that circumstance is, something still must be done. Good, bad, ugly, or indifferent, something still must be done. And I think that's the right attitude. I think you and Montes, you guys hop on that together, and it'll be a situation that you prevent from escalating or getting worse. That's what I'm believing. Do you like to drive?
I do. I enjoy driving.
Okay. And what's the longest distance you've ever driven?
Wisconsin.
Okay, so that's like, I don't know how far is that, 3, 4
9
hours?
hours.
9 hours, okay, 9-hour drive. Okay, and then when you get there, how do you feel? When you get out the car and let's say you drove most of the way. Is that the case sometimes? That's right, because Montes didn't even have his license for a while. So let's say you drive the whole 9 hours, you get out the car. What's the first thing you feel? Other than having to go pee, but what is the first thing you feel?
Just stretch my legs.
You
Just
stretch
stretch
your
my
legs.
legs and just glad I'm there.
And why are you going to Wisconsin? Just to add to the story, what would be the reason to go to Wisconsin? Visit your family?
No, no, it was while he was in the process of getting his interstate compact until I found that shelter that let us stay there for like 45 days. And then I started working at Cabo Recovery while I was there.
Okay. So you're constantly finding a way, no matter what it is. You're finding a way for both of you. That's good. So you get out the car and your legs are like tense, and they're probably gonna clot up with blood just sitting for so long, or just staying in one place and driving along.
Well, thank God for cruise control.
Okay. Okay, but you gotta watch it though, because some people put that on, and I tell you, they fall asleep. So we gotta be careful with the cruise control. But yeah, I love cruise control. I'll stick it on cruise control and just go. I don't have to. There was a time when I was younger, I would love to speed everywhere I went, but now I just put it at a couple miles over the speed limit, and I'm gone. I'm good. I don't care what it looks like thereafter. Um, the reason I'm asking you this is because in your head, as you're driving along, you know you have 2 hours left, and you know you have 40 minutes left. And then you're down to, 15 minutes, I'll be there. I can start seeing signs and things I'm familiar with, and on and on and on, especially if you made the trip twice or 3 times or several times, which I'm probably sure in your relationship with Monty, you've done stuff like that many times. So, but you're doing this countdown in your head. You know that somewhere along this path, it's going to end, that you're going to get there, and you're going to be able to stretch your legs, and you're going to be more mobile because you've been sitting for so long, and you're not going to want to sit again. You're going to want to walk around, make sure you don't pull your back out, or drink some coffee or have a cold drink or whatever it may be. But in your head, you have this I reached my destination. But then as soon as you get there, what happens? You got another task. Okay, now I need to go into this prison. I got to deal with this interstate compact thing. I got to deal with that. We need a place to stay. On and on and on. You got something else to deal with. And then you get that accomplished. And once that's accomplished, now we got to move in. I got to get some stuff. We got to buy this. We got to buy that. I got to figure out a way for this. I got to find a job. And then when you get that done, we have to wait on the interstate compact. And then we got to do, so life is a series of objectives. I think that your life is full of objectives in an omnidirectional manner, meaning all directions. You have Something happening with a job from over here. Something happened with your daughter from over here. Something happened with Montez over here. Something happened with your work and your practicum over here. You have so many different ways of starting new objectives all around you. Even while you're in the midst, while you're in maybe stage one of the objective of having a great relationship with your husband, you're only in stage two of getting towards the end of your objective with your daughter, who have not yet found a place to stay. And then you have another objective, your kids coming in, and they are absolutely priority. You want them to have a place to sleep and be comfortable and all that. So you're against it. Now you have an objective of a clock, of how to count down all of these things in your life. So by the time they show up, you have accommodated them in where they're going to stay and how they're going to live and all those things. So with all these different omnidirectional things going on in your life, where's your sanity, Bobbi?
My sanity is at work.
Tell me about it. You find your sanity at work?
Mm-hmm.
What makes that possible?
Because I can just be really who I was meant to be, to help people, to organize things, to, you know, get a system going. Like they put me as a case manager with no kind of system, none, no structure, no system, no rhyme or reason. Just this is what your title is. These are your parameters. Build it from the ground up.
Well,
And
that's
I
kind of
do
awesome. Go ahead, keep going.
Yeah, that is awesome because I can, but see the way that I do it, if I was to get fired or want to quit or want to move on or move up, or the system that I create it in a way that anybody can read it or anybody can follow it,
Okay.
you know? And I've done that at every job that I've ever had.
So you make it a better place than when it was when you were there, or what it was
Yeah.
when. And we should all do that. I'm that kind of guy too. I'm gonna make it better than what it was before. I think that's what you have to do. Just to be okay with yourself.
Yeah.
You want to have a little pride in your work ethic and your outcome and your output. You definitely want that. But sometimes, don't you think that by doing it so well and providing everybody with what they need, people begin to use you? Did I lose
Did
you?
they use me?
No, I'm saying sometimes if you do something so well, and let's say they didn't have any system in place, then you put it in place and everybody starts to do it. And then do they take you for granted when you do that?
I don't think I've ever stayed someplace long enough for them to do that.
That's one hell of a statement. You know that, right?
I'm just saying. I don't. Like I don't think I don't, because the working thing is new for me, you know? And so I've wanted to get my feet wet in a little bit of different areas to see where exactly I wanted to go with it.
Of course.
And so I don't think that I've ever been in a job where they've actually taken advantage of me because I haven't stayed that long.
That is one of the best answers I've ever heard in my life. She goes, well, yeah, back in Wisconsin, they did this, that, and the other, but that's not the case. So there is a progress curve for you as well that you're in your arc of right now. And you're trying to get past that arc and get onto a path where you have been somewhere for a while. And you can see the personalities of the people clearly and how you affect your workplace as well as people are affected by you. You haven't gotten that experience yet, even though you read people well, I do believe. But at the same time, you do need that experience. You need to have the experience of knowing how you fit in. Because if you go in and you revamp everything, in a lot of these places, social work is different for each person that walk into the door. Everybody's got a different need. So there's no real system that somebody can come up with other than the one you showed me in your book, because I think that's amazing. But there's no real system that people can just standardize, I don't think, in the world you operate in. And when they do standardize it, something different comes in. They may not be as good or as efficient at adapting as you are. I think you adapt very well. I think you do that for your family. I think you do it for your friends. I think you do it for, I don't think you even have time for friendly day, but for your church, for your, of course, your workplace. I think you do the same thing for all of them. That will deplete you, Bob, over time. It will. And you're not a people pleaser. You're just an objective oriented person who checks things off your list once it's done. And you want to make sure it's done correctly. But you have so many things coming at you at the same time. I think you need to be very careful, very vigilant and observant about what you allow to happen in your life or not that affects your flow of the workplace and your family. I think those are the two most important things, your family first, of course, and then the workplace that encompasses both your family and your of course, your path in life or your outcomes. And I like that you have a great work ethic. What about Montez? Is he on the same sheet of music with you insofar as that is concerned? Insofar as prioritizing for work, do you think, and I know he's not really, but do you think that he'll get there?
Yeah, I think he'll get there.
Yeah, I do too.
He's got to understand that he's really doing stuff that he doesn't like. You know, yes, he's good at cleaning cars, but that's not what he likes to do.
What does Montez like? What does he like to do?
He likes to organize things. He's an organizer. He likes to help people. He definitely likes to help people. I don't know if case management is his jam. I don't know if counseling is his jam, but maybe I could see he does like manufacturing, like that atmosphere. Mm-hmm. But see, the thing is, he doesn't like to get dirty. So there's going to have to be some compromise. But I think he would be a great organizer, or he could move on in some kind of business administration to where he was. I don't want to use the word secretary because that's not it, but like an assistant to some,
or assistant to the boss, or
of a male.
Got it. Yeah, and I think that would be the ideal job for just about anybody to walk into an office environment and then direct people and be an assistant to somebody else who has the juice or the power in the organization. But that requires following something first. He has to first become a great follower before he becomes a great leader. Once he can follow without question and understand the principle behind what he does, as well as the work ethic and the actual expertise of what he's doing, once he can get that as a follower, as a, yeah, boss, got you, no problem, boss, got it, or sir, or ma'am, or whomever it is, once he can do that, well, like-minded people do like things. So people who see that you have it within you to follow will, because no one should ever be promoted into leadership because they do a good job. I think that's the worst reason to promote anybody or make them from a follower to a leader. It's not because you do a great job you should ever be promoted. That's your job to do a great job. Mm-hmm. The reason why a person should be promoted, and always, is because they have the potential, and you can see the potential in them to do the next level thing and find those congruencies between what's required and the next level and what you already have innate to yourself and how you've applied it not only to what you're doing now, but how you will allow that to permeate over into what you do in the future. That is why you promote people. That is how they become leaders, not any other way. Because you have to learn not only to lead by example, but you have to teach others how to do the same. So anyway, we can go into this another time. Bobbi, I like talking to you, and I want to ask some questions from the audience if we have any. How's your new job going?
It's going well. It's going well. Like I said, they're giving me the parameters to kind of build something that was never started. And so some of it's challenging, and in other parts, it's kind of like what I like to do. I like to create a system that anybody can use. That's what do you call it? It's friendly to whatever kind of
User friendly.
user friendly. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so this user friendly system, people like it. It's effective. Have you found any real challenges in getting it implemented and underway?
Yes, because there's a basement full of clothes that needs folded, and I'm not going to be the one to do it. Mm-mm. So what
Okay.
I've asked is like the guys that's on restriction or the girls that's on restriction, they never leave the house. So I'm going to try to get some of them over to the office and or people who have community service hours they need to get done through the
Mhm.
court systems. It's been court ordered to there.
Mhm.
Give them community service hours to help me straighten that out. So I've tried to come up
A
with a
lot
few
of
different,
clutter.
yeah, a lot of clutter.
See, once you clear out the cobwebs and all the extra clothing, dirty laundry, once you clean all, people don't know that organization is probably their best friend. Most people don't know that. And sometimes when I walk into a place that's in such disarray, it really isn't a reflection of the people. It's a reflection of their home training or their lack of home training or their lack of discipline. And not that they're nasty people, but they definitely let it get nasty because they don't know any better. And once they know better, they should do better. That's not always the case, though. That's not always the case.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure you've seen, but some people are just lazy too. And I want to talk to you about how you conquer those kinds of people or conquer those types of relationships when you're dealing with them, not only in a casework environment, but in your home as well, or in places where that's very intimate to you. How do you deal with lazy people? Uh, and like you and Montes, I don't think either one of you are lazy by any stretch of the imagination. But I think that other people around you may be. And that's something we need to tackle too, and how you deal with it and what do we do to, get a little pep in their step.
Encouragement is what I encouragement and incentive.
Yeah, and so there we go. I think a sense of urgency in that incentive process, because people need a sense of urgency in whatever they do in order to make it important to them. Not that they should hurry up and get it done, but a sense of urgency that this is important that I, grant my brain and my heart and my efforts and my work ethic and all of that towards this sense of urgency that I need to have about this thing, about keeping my room clean or doing the laundry or having a job or, you know, being responsible, driving my car, whatever it may be, there should be a sense of urgency, that incentive, coupled with that incentive. I agree with you. But anyway, um, I enjoy talking to you for a variety of reasons, Bob. I mean, I've watched your life. I listened to you months ago, and I'm listening to you now. You're not a totally different person, not at all. You're a more defined and principled person. You had your principles and your definition of self, and it was a proud thing to watch evolve. But you're definitely a principled human being who is trying to do it the right way. Don't ever let anyone take that away from you. There's not an argument or anything in the world. There's not a circumstance that should take your dignity away or take the fact that you are doing the very best you can and it's evident. You're not done yet. Nobody is that matter, but you specifically are not done yet. You stay on this path of getting yours together. Because once you're together, you can help other people get theirs together. And I think that's very important that we recognize. Your dogs see it. They just
Yeah.
come lay next to you because they want you protected. They want you to be comfortable. They want you to be safe. And you have to stay within those parameters, staying safe, staying okay, being protected. You have to stay in those boundaries sometimes and not, you know, push other people away mentally or physically, but allow their own circumstances to take control. And they'll once you introduce a new concept to someone that they have to live by, they have to make a decision. I either become responsible in this household while I'm here, or I cannot be here any longer. And whatever measures and steps I need to take to go to this next place, I need to start taking them now. And I need to start following Bobbi's guidance and her leadership in this effort. And that's not for Montez. That's for your daughter and her husband. I don't
Yeah.
know them, but that's what I would tell any couple or any family to do. But at the same time, you and Montes have to be on the same sheet of music. So I'm gonna read this and get out of here. Um, what's been your experience with norm therapy? Do you see us as being useful in your life?
Yeah, you guys have really you said it best when you said like defined. Like when I started norm therapy, it wasn't like I was lost and broken and
No,
yeah,
no.
I was lost and broken on the inside and it has helped me a lot through my individual sessions. Now, now is a place in my life where I'm defining who I am or who I want to become or what I want to change. And it's given me that definition and
Articulation.
um yeah.
Okay,
And so I'm trying to soften up in areas where where I'm a little harder and maybe harden up in a little areas where I am too soft. And so it's really all about balance and being able to articulate what I'm feeling or saying, hey, let's have this conversation, whether it's a hard conversation or a heartfelt conversation or, whatever kind of conversation. But it is really all about communication and how you come off with it and how you adjust to it. And being receptive to things that you may not like or you may not want to hear, but to take it in and digest it and take what's useful and maybe what's not so useful
and deal with it and put it
and
where
deal
it
with it.
belongs.
Yeah.
Well, Bobbi, we've run out of time, and I like that you said that, and thank you very much. Always good to talk with you. So if you like what you saw and what you witnessed tonight, and you enjoyed this session, please show your support by sharing our video, subscribing, and moving on with us, and of course, liking it and commenting. Our next norm therapy sessions with myself and Montes on Tuesday, March 19th at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please go to goarrow.org or normtherapy.com or both and explore our opportunities, our pricing, our educational systems that we have for norm therapists. Contact us at contact@normtherapy.com or opt in at normtherapy.com. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you on this upcoming Tuesday. And thank you, Bobbi. I really appreciate it. And tell Montes I said I hope he gets better. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Have a good one.
All right. I'll see you next Sunday.
See you next Sunday. Bye-bye. Have a good week.